Oh, it's a director's take. Okay. These are good, and this is the first one, so this could be like, okay. It's a director's take. All right. Director's take. Art development values, part 1. Woo, okay. Okay, this is a bit interesting. All right, let's see. Hello, everyone, and happy 2024. We're at the start of the new year. I thought it would be a great idea to talk about our view of 2024. Okay. Okay. The director's take will be a one part of a series where we frame up the year according to a set of values we're using to develop the game. These values translate into goals and specific additions and changes to the game. There's a lot of different things coming up this year that I want to share. So I think of this as the first in a series of topics to cover. Okay. All right. One of the biggest values of the Overwatch team is to constantly improve the core PvP game. It's always an interesting statement because one thing that's happened in Overwatch 2, more so than ever in Overwatch 1, is like the way they're trying to change the game to kind of like not just kind of be like stagnant and kind of stuck in the gameplay like the same. So what they're saying here is they want to keep building on the PvP game in different ways, right? So this is a broad topic spanning both in-game and out-of-game systems. Today I'd like to look at where we're at with the actual in-match experience, the moment-to-moment combat. I'll talk about what we think is working, what isn't working, and go into some of our plans for the future. Okay, I'm liking what I'm reading. Additional director's take in this series will look at the systems surrounding the PvP experience, such as our competitive system, hero balance, and economy. I'll also take some time to talk about future events and limited time game modes, as well as larger systems that have the possibility of coming into the game. This is quite the blog post so far. So, let's get into the Overwatch gameplay. Starting with the obvious, Overwatch is a team-based, hero-based, multiplayer competitive shooter. Heroes, maps, and game modes are all designed to require teams to work together in order to successfully win a match. When a team works together, each player using their hero to the fullest potential, while relying on each other to execute a strategy, the game feels magical, which I agree. When you have like a perfect teamwork game, it's amazing, right? Overwatch, when played as a team and played correctly as a team, is a lot of fun, right? Like it is just a good time. It's really fun. There's really no other FPS like it. However, when this isn't happening and players are all working on their own, the game is far from magical and can become frustrating. So what I like about this is them actually addressing the issue of like, yeah, if your teammates aren't working with you and you're all just doing your own thing, it becomes a frustrating experience. And we recognize that. So what it seems like what they want to do is find ways to limit that. Because obviously, if you have a teammate that is just not working with you, it's just frustrating, right? The reliance on teammates can simultaneously be one of the best and worst attributes of our game, which I think a lot of people in chat will agree and disagree with that. I mean, agree with that. You have good teammates, you have a good time. You have teammates doing their own thing. You have teammates not working together. You have teammates feeding. You have teammates just doing their own thing, not worrying about any of that. It's frustrating, right? And that speaks true to Overwatch a lot of the time. Right? Because there's a little bit less of that ability to make plays in Overwatch. So sometimes you're really relying on like your other teammate to just help you out a little bit. And when they're not doing that, it can be frustrating, right? It can be really frustrating. We want to improve this. We want to improve this by looking at the game through the lens of teamwork and make it easier for players to be part of the team while also lessening some of the pain of when it's not happening. So it sounds like what they want to do is they want to make it so teamwork is still key, but more ways to kind of like not have carry potential, but rely on your teammates less while also relying on teamwork. I know it's interesting. In fact, a lot of our goals for improving the core game stem from looking at Overwatch as a whole, improving the parts of the game that are working, and finding fixes for the parts that negatively affect the experience. Which, to go at this, I like hearing that because Overwatch has that frustration point, and basically, instead of them just being like, deal with it, that's how we have it. They're like, no, we want to make changes to make the overall experience better for you. What those are, I mean, we'll have to see. But they're like, they want to make it a better experience. We've already implemented some features to align with this. The ping system and the newer spawn together system both encourage team play. Also, shout out to Gavin on the ping system. The ping system's amazing. One of the best features in Overwatch right now. Absolutely love it. It was a necessity for Overwatch, and it's great. A great thing. For those who don't know, the spawn together system adjusts individual players' respawn so they respawn with teammates more often. Now, this happens in quick play. You may not notice it at times. I think I don't even notice it or sometimes forget it exists, but it exists now in quick play, right? That's the thing that happens. You have these spawn timers.
How's your day been so far?
I've been good. How about yours? So, like, these are actual things, right? This system will get a tune-in pass in Season 9 to make the effect more prominent. So that basically what they're saying is, we'll make it more obvious, right? I was just saying, I don't notice it sometimes, and they're saying, yeah, we're going to make it more obvious. But we're talking about other features that will make it easier for players to work together as a team. Party frames is one of those. Or one of these. Wait, what is party frames? These are the on-screen player health indicators that we use for our PvE events. I like that, actually. Wait a second. I like that. That would be amazing. Because if you know in PvE you have much better opportunity to see your teammates' HP across the board, they should add that. I don't know if that's a play. That would be huge. And I know that seems like some people might be like, oh, that's like not a huge change. It is, because you now have more info than you've ever had. I like that a lot. I like that a lot. You said, isn't that giving you too much info? No, not necessarily, because it's allowing for you to have to worry about a little bit less than what you normally have to do. And this can kind of prevent issues where, like, maybe you'll snowball a little bit less. Snowball in Overwatch is where basically, like, you just keep staggering and you never kind of regroup together. Maybe you might see your teammate is at low HP now, or you can't go in because your teammates are low, or you can't blade because your teammates are low. You have a better understanding of what's happening. It doesn't mean the reaction from your teammates is going to improve on that, but you have more info that can help you. So I don't think it's too much info. I actually think this is really cool, and I really do hope they look into adding that. Other possible features such as backfill improvements, changes to our scoreboard, and ways to mitigate spawn camping also align with this. So they want to change other stuff too. To show the extent of our discussions, even an ally-only minimap feature was discussed. Some of these systems are under discussion, and some are in development. I don't think a minimap has a high likelihood of shipping, but I do think that party frames are likely. So it sounds like party frames are a go, minimap not so much. But what I do like, and we've been seeing this a lot more with the current team, they don't have a problem telling us about things that they've worked on or have tried to work on. So, like, they're letting you know that, like, they're not just sitting there not working on stuff or, like, adding features or trying new features. Some of them will stick, some of them won't, but they're actually trying to do that, which I think is super important, right? Like trying that stuff. Party frames is going to be where you see, like, your teammate's HP.
Hi, emongg and chat.
It's like in you know,
emongg, has there been one hero that's been your favorite to play since you started Overwatch? Or are you more of a flexible, I don't mind whoever player?
I just play whatever. Yeah, I just play whatever. Think of the 5 months. So, just to kind of put that in, like, party frames are like, ever played PvE? And you see, like, your teammate's HP like that? It's like that. I think that's a really good... I think that's good. Minimap? I wouldn't mind a minimap, but maybe they did the minimap and maybe there was too much on your screen. Maybe it wasn't working the way they wanted it to, etc. I wouldn't mind it, but it sounds like it's something they don't like. So, okay. It's our hope that staying closer to your teammates and having more information on what they're doing will help encourage team play. But what happens when your team is not working well together? Well, we definitely want to make this a little less frustrating. Okay. We've talked about the new competitive system coming to Season 9, which I cannot wait for. But there's a massive set of gameplay and balance changes coming to that season as well. Many of those changes are aimed at reducing damage spikes in combat. As a tank player, just hearing a reduction of damage spikes in combat makes me feel so much better as a tank, because that is the most frustrating part as a tank, is you peek a corner, you go to 1 HP, you hide. You're playing hide and seek half the time, right? But, like, you're playing literally hide and seek half the time. I won't get into all of it here. We're working on a standalone post to be published closer to the start of the season. I'm looking forward to that. But for the sake of the current discussion, I'd like to talk about one aspect of it. In Season 9, both tank and damage heroes will get a modified, tuned down version of the support self-heal passive. So every hero is going to have self-healing? You know, I don't know what to think. I like the idea of it as a tank because I don't have to rely on tanks as much, or as heals as much, right? But then I'm like, how is that going to feel? Is it going to be, I don't have a super strong opinion on it yet, but like, how is that going to play? That's so different than anything we've ever played, right? That's going to be interesting. Like, that's unexpected, by the way. And it sounds like there's more changes in general, but like that just sounds like that's almost unexpected, isn't it? Like, keep in mind, it does say tuned down version, right? So maybe like it takes 5 seconds or something to get the passive. Like it's not going to work the same way support passive works. But wow, that's interesting. We're going to have to test that the moment that like that is like surprising. That changes Overwatch a little bit. And I'm not going to be able to really know where to go with it yet. Yeah, like you said, Tracer self-heal. Yeah, exactly. They did say a lot of balance changes, so I wonder if, like, balance changes are being shifted around this new concept, right? That's very interesting. I'm actually really curious to see how that plays. Like, part of me really loves the idea of, like, them making a massive change like that, right? Because it's just, like, they're not saying they're comfortable where the balance and where the game's at in general, so they're willing to make aggressive changes. At the same time, I don't know the full stats, and I don't know how it's going to play. So I could love it right now, and then I go play against it, and I can't get in the limb ever because the passive is too quickly, and I can't kill a Soldier 76 or a Tracer, or a Sombra, or a Reaper, or like a Roadhog, because you get my point, right? So I'm curious to see, but that is very unexpected. I'm gonna be honest with you. That is something I didn't expect to see in Overwatch. So we'll see. That's very interesting. Sorry, I know we talked about that for a while, but that's just something completely different than what we've seen. So, know how sometimes we're like, oh, we gotta go be like a health pack Harry because like the supports are DPSing or the support's getting dove a lot. Well, you know what? Maybe now I can just regen my HP. How quickly? How effective? I don't know. So. My take on that is I need to see more information on it, but I am very surprised to even see something like that. Straight up. That's kind of why I say, like, my opinion, I don't have a strong opinion on it yet, only because I don't know what to expect until I have more information. So I'm very curious to see how it plays, how it works. Yeah, it could be 1 HP every 3 seconds for all we know. It could just be just enough to, like, kind of, we just don't know. So. Honestly, it sounds like your new best friend is going to be the cart healing you, in the new passive for everybody. You know what I mean? You're gonna be sitting on the cart like, oh, this is great. Getting healed by the cart, getting healed by the passive. This is gonna be great. I mean, supports already know that with the passive. Anyway, sorry, I went a little bit deep into that discussion, but I'm really curious to see. This should give non-support players more options in terms of sustaining themselves. It should also take some of the pressure off support players to keep everyone alive, since individual players now have more control of their own health pool. I can't wait to see the new spectating off of this, by the way. We're going to have such interesting spectating ones. Listen, I carried this game. Can you watch this game? My teammate wasn't using their support, their passive. This is ridiculous. I didn't heal them because they have a passive. What were they doing? Like, they have the passive now. What are they doing? It's gonna be great. The spectating series is going to the next level. I can't wait. We're going to the next level on those ones. It's gonna be a good one. Can I get a heal, please? Excuse me, you have a passive? No. You have health packs, you have a passive, you have the cart. Okay? It won't work that way, but it will be funny if that ever becomes a thing. So, you said you can hear me in the background. We can just fix the range in his mic and then we'll fix it. He doesn't have his thing set up, so. Okay. This should give more options. Okay. It should also, okay, in Overwatch, there is a constant tug of war between the power of a team and the power of an individual hero or player. A change like this shifts that balance a bit. this is something that we're constantly evaluating. We still want Overwatch to be defined by team strategy and mechanics, but we feel that this can be pulled back a bit now and possibly more in the future. I mean, like I said, I like that they make aggressive changes to the game if they feel like they have to, in comparison to just sitting there not doing anything about it. We're also actively looking for new ways of improving the core gameplay experience. We just launched our first quick play hacked event for the weekend. There will be modified rules in effect in our quick play queues. The first iteration is called Quicker Play. I love that name. And it changes many of the quick play mode's rules to make matches quicker. Wow, I never would have thought. Payloads and capture times are faster, respawn times are quicker, and matches are shorter. This particular experiment is designed to look at how these changes affect player psychology. For instance, if a player spends less time waiting to respawn, will getting eliminated by an opponent be less frustrating? Well, what if you get eliminated by... Well, there's two ways that goes. You respawn quicker, but what if you get eliminated by that opponent even quicker, right? And I think that's something they need to see. If matches are shorter, will each loss have the same sting that it currently does? Ask people who lose on push quickly. There are also other out-of-game benefits that could come from this event, such as quicker matchmaking and quicker challenge completion, which isn't bad. Based on the reception of these changes, the team might make some of them permanent or use them as a basis for other ideas to improve the game, which we talked about that yesterday, right? I don't mind them using certain times to find things to improve the game, because it's going to be I like the concept of what they're doing with it. I don't think they're going to keep the numbers they have now, but maybe the cart moving 10% faster just changes how the game feels a little bit. And maybe that's a good thing for the game, right? Maybe it's not. Maybe they do all these changes and everybody's like, this is ridiculous, right? That's why they're testing it. And this gives them really quick data on that, and they can kind of turn that around. So that's what these quick play hacked events are designed to do. Quicken the feedback loop and allow for swifter implementation of improvements into the game. In fact, we have one more coming later in Season 8. So there's a second quick play happening later on this season. So in the next month, we're going to get another quick play with changes. That's interesting. Okay. I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. I have to see how it plays and all that, but okay. They're going to call it slow play? Yeah, it's going to be, they're going to make it so you spawn a lot slower. What happens if you spawn slower? Is it less frustrated? Yeah, that's going to be great. That's it for this week. We'll be back in a few more to talk about additional ways we're looking at improving Overwatch over the course of 2024. Thanks for reading and watching, and we'll see you in game. Yeah, what do you think? By the way, that was like kind of an unexpected blog post. I want to see what happens, but that is a lot. I did not expect that. I'm very interested. So you said check the Overwatch Twitter? Yeah, okay, give me 1 second.
So today's Director's Take is going to be the first part in a series where we talk about our values and our goals for the coming year. And specifically in today's piece, I want to talk about improving the core PvP experience of Overwatch. And even more specifically, I'd like to talk about improving the in-match experience of Overwatch. Okay. What actually happens inside of a game. Now, it might seem kind of obvious to say that Overwatch is a team-based, hero-based, competitive first-person shooter.
Also, I just want to pause for a second, by the way. I want to give a lot of credit to Aaron over the past few years as kind of the on-camera presence in comparison to when Aaron was kind of first put into the, you know what I mean? When Aaron first started doing interviews into comparison to now, Aaron's come a long way in that too, and I want to give props on that one. So is he gonna read the blog? I don't know, why not?
And when your team is working together, when every player is utilizing a hero to the best of their ability, and that team is executing a strategy in order to win a match, the game feels really magical. There's really nothing else like it. And we'd like to facilitate teamwork as much as we can. Okay. So we'll talk about some of our thoughts around doing that in the Director's Take today. Now, players aren't always acting in the best accordance or with what's best in mind for their team. And when they're not, sometimes that can be...
We all play perfect, right, chat?
Frustrating. And so we're also looking at ways of reducing that frustration and maybe even giving players ways to operate without necessarily always depending on their team. We'll even go over a pretty juicy gameplay change that's coming in Season 9 with the purpose of doing some of that. Now, we're also running different experiments to find ways of improving the game. We just launched Quick Play Hacked, which is a whole new set of changes coming to Quick Play just through this weekend.
I'm going to try that out right after this.
Exactly that. We're running a different set of rules for the game in order to find some ways that we could potentially improve it. Now, in future director's takes and subsequent ones, we're also going to be looking at some of the out-of-match experience and how we can improve that for Overwatch. Things like our competitive system and game balance, also, hero balance, also game modes and live events that we'll be running through the year. And I think I'd even like to get into a bit of some of our longer-term thoughts on different systems that we think could potentially help the game, and maybe even like much bigger features that could be coming further in the future.
I'm listening.
Okay, thanks for watching. We'll see you in game.
Hey, you know what? Listen, it's good to see. So Aaron's the one who does a lot of who's doing that post we just read, game director. Aaron's just letting us know we're gonna get a lot of information, which is really cool to see. So it's cool to see that. I'm excited. I'm gonna be real with you. I like that they're being kind of optimistic, not optimistic, trying things in comparison to just not trying anything, right? That's how I feel about it. So I'm really curious to see how that goes, but yeah. A lot of information there, and I'm happy to see that, so, yep.